Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have 3 recipes to share with you. I've had these recipes on my list and I have just been wanting to make them so badly. So this week we're making them all and I really hope you enjoy them. Let's go ahead and get started and I will show you what I made. First off today, I wanted to take a chance on this barbecue chicken meatloaf. My husband is not a meatloaf fan, so I really wanted to try this and see how he would like it. I went ahead and preheated my oven to 375 degrees, and then I also chopped up half of a yellow onion into really small pieces. I added that into a bowl with 1 pound of ground chicken, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, 1 egg, 1/3 of a cup of your favorite barbecue sauce. I did use a spicy one, which ended up giving this a little bit of a light kick, but it was really good. And then you're also going to add 1 cup of shredded Colby Jack cheese in there as well. I'm going to go ahead and get that all mixed together, and then I'm going to add it into a small little baking dish. I did spray it down with some nonstick spray, and I'm going to form this into a small loaf. You will probably notice I did not add any extra seasonings into this. A lot of the recipes mentioned that most of the flavor from this will come from the barbecue sauce, so I didn't add a lot of extra seasonings in there, and it actually turned out really good. I was quite impressed. I went ahead and baked that in my oven for around 45 minutes until the center hit at least 165 degrees. At this point, you can add more barbecue sauce over the top if you'd like, or if you can add cheese, or you can add both. I went ahead and added about another cup of Colby Jack cheese over the top of this. I added it really nice and thick so it would melt down all over the top of that. And I just stuck that back in the oven for 5 more minutes to melt that cheese. To serve this, we just had some cheesy rice to go along with it, corn on the cob, and then some of that chicken meatloaf, which he ended up liking, and I was really happy about that. This is one of my favorite quick, easy meals. We're gonna make some sheet pan nachos now. I have been wanting nachos so badly lately, so I figured let's go ahead and make it on a sheet pan. Really quick and easy, and everything gets spread out super nice like this. I went ahead and preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and then I added 1 pound of ground beef with half of a chopped onion into my pan. I am going to cook those together, and if you've been around here for a while, 99% of the time I add a can of diced tomatoes with green chilies into my taco meat. But this time I didn't have any, so we're just keeping it real simple this time with some regular taco meat. Over to a sheet pan, I did dump out a bag of Doritos on there. I am using Doritos today, but you can also use tortilla chips, whatever you like. We just prefer to use Doritos. I am going to take that entire pound of ground beef and sprinkle it evenly over the top of all of my Doritos first. Over top of that ground beef, I'm adding 1 can of drained and rinsed black beans, just sprinkling that evenly over the top. You can add any toppings on here that you would like to. Next, I'm adding this Rico's nacho cheese. This is our favorite nacho cheese. It's so good in my opinion. I'm just sprinkling that over the top the best I can. It's kind of hard to spread around, but it turns out really good if you have this on here. Next, I'm just adding on some shredded cheese. This was a little bit of cheddar cheese and a little bit of Mexican style cheese. And then after adding that, it's going into the oven for about 10 minutes just to melt everything through, warm up the beans. And this is what it'll look like at that point. I waited to add the rest of the toppings just because I didn't want all of those in the oven, like the lettuce, tomato, salsa, sour cream, avocado, any of that kind of stuff. So I went ahead and just left that out until after it baked in the oven. This is what it looked like when I added the rest of my toppings. This hit the spot so good. This dinner was very quick, delicious, very filling, and we ate it up so quick. Another recipe that's been on my list for a while I've really wanted to try is this creamy white lasagna soup. So over to my big pot on my stove, I'm adding about 2 tablespoons of butter and about a tablespoon of olive oil. I'm going to let those heat up together and add in half of a chopped yellow onion. I am going to go ahead and add a little seasoning in here. I'm adding about a half teaspoon of thyme, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I really wanted to jumpstart the flavor of that thyme in here with the onion and butter, but you can also add more seasonings in the end if you think it needs more salt and pepper or whatever you think it needs. After about 5 minutes, my onion was translucent, so I went ahead and added in a tablespoon of minced garlic. That garlic is just going to cook in here for a minute or so until you really start smelling it nice and strong. Now I'm adding in about 3 to 4 tablespoons of all-purpose flour in here. You'll want to make sure you mix this in really well and let it cook in here for a minute or two until it starts to look like it has a slight golden color. Next, I'm adding in 1 chicken breast that I did cube up into bite-sized pieces, along with 6 cups of chicken broth. I'm going to let this come to a nice boil. This is going to cook the chicken. You'll just want to keep an eye on it. I did temp mine in the end after my pasta cooked just to make sure. But once everything is boiling, you will add in 8 ounces of pasta. And this is called lasagna soup. You're supposed to use broken up lasagna noodles. However, I just decided to use bow tie noodles since I already had those in the house. At this point, I'm also going to add in some spinach. I'm adding about a 1/4 cup of frozen spinach. Feel free to use fresh spinach, but I never go through it quick enough, so I like to keep frozen on hand, and I just add in about a 1/4 cup in here. It took about 10 to 15 minutes for those noodles to get completely tender, and you'll notice that the soup will start to thicken up as well. Next, you'll add a 1/4 cup of heavy cream, 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese, and you'll want to make sure you either cube this up, or I'm just taking my spoon and breaking it into smaller pieces in here. And it is important that it is room temperature. If yours is not, I would microwave it for a moment. If it is cold, it'll be harder to mix in here. It'll kind of break up into smaller pieces and will not melt down like it should. This recipe called for 1 cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. However, I did not have quite 1 cup of mozzarella cheese, so I went ahead and used about 1/2 cup of mozzarella cheese and 1/2 cup of Colby Jack cheese. And I did add that in slowly since it was pre-shredded cheese, that way it would not clump up in my soup. After I got all that mixed in there, you're also going to want to add some freshly grated Parmesan. Same thing with the Parmesan. I did freshly grate this, but I wanted to make sure it didn't clump up in there as well. So I added that slowly in there, and it was about 1/3 of a cup. I took a moment here to make sure everything melted down properly, made sure there was no big clumps of cheese in there, and then I just let it sit for about 10 minutes before serving. This turned out to be such a cozy, creamy soup. I would love to make this again when the weather starts to cool down. It's still pretty toasty here in Arizona right now, but especially if you live in a state that gets cooler here in the fall, this is such a warm and cozy soup. I would definitely recommend trying it out. I really hope you enjoyed today's recipes. If you don't mind, leave me a flower down below if you made it all the way to the end of this video. I love to see who sticks around for the whole thing. I will be back here on Wednesday with a new video, so I hope to see you guys then. Bye!